This is a continuation of the video. We're actually taught to be sheep. We're taught to think, not to think critically. We're taught to believe groupthink. We're taught not to trust our intuition. We're taught to follow society, to care what people think, to compare ourselves to other people, to enter the school system, to get a job. That's why most people die at 18 and don't get buried till they're 75. Most people are just slaves to a job. They go to a job to work and they come home to a life that they're not even living. They have no even time for their real life. And so I think it makes rather a lot of sense that Zechariah Station says that they created humans as a slave species. And our rulers have failed us. I mean, this is what the Judeo-Christian Community says, your rulers have failed you. Your leaders, your political leaders have failed you. What will you do? What will you do? Will you fight back against our rulers? Now, the way I see it is you should look more internally. You should look inside. You should not be paying so much attention to the world out there because you create your own reality. Absolutely. Absolutely. It goes back to ancient Kemet. It goes back to no, at least ancient Kemet. The people, they knew about the sky people. In fact, every civilization, ancient civilization, almost all of the major ones, they talk about the sky people, interacting with them. You see it on cuneiform tablets, you see it in hieroglyphics, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. You see in the paintings, literally like UFOs on the paintings. This is not, this is some true stuff. I think the governments of the world, they spend billions of dollars on covering up aliens. You see, we live in a world that doesn't want humans to awaken. These beings, these inorganic ones, they control the governments. They've been controlling it for thousands of years. This is like an inflection point for humanity. This is an amazing time to be alive, that you can fight for your freedom, for your children's freedoms. They just want absolute power, absolute control. It's worse than it's ever been. They control people through fear. Fear is how they control the world. You ever feel fear, you should know that there are beings, entities, spiritual entities that are feeding off your fear. And this is the problem that people who aren't spiritual have. You just see the world in a logical, materialistic, scientific sense, a reductionist scientific sense. Then it's going to be very difficult for you to have wisdom. Even if you have intelligence, it's going to be difficult to see through groupthink. Because these are, in fact, spiritual ideas. They are not just intellectual. And that's why people have so much trouble awakening or drawing parallels to our modern society compared to other, evil communist, totalitarian societies in the past. We can't draw these connections because we don't have the spiritual power, which is responsible for intuition in order to see through this illusion Maya world. And if you question it, you're labeled as a conspiracy theorist. It's crazy. And that's in fact how the groupthink works. You reject and stigmatize people that question the status quo. They will ruthlessly attack you. And this is part of the inorganic one's plan to control humanity. And they know that it's over, that they have no chance, that they won't win. They're holding on as that last desperate attempt for power. And the Gnostics talk about it. What are the archons, in fact? But disgusting looking creatures. Abominations of humanity. They don't feel it. They don't have the soul that we have. They are never happy unless they're ruining the lives of humans. And in fact, these evil entities control our leaders. It doesn't matter how clean, how nice their hair looks, or how fancy their suits are. Our leaders, let me tell you, you can just see it in their eyes, just the arrogance of them, that they think that they know. In fact, this is how they've been tricked. They think that they are so sure of themselves that in fact they are merely the puppets of these really evil entities that, sacrifice children and steal children's souls. I mean, really evil stuff. These are our leaders. I mean, you do not understand how depraved those in power are. And it's not like the average person you meet. Like, no, these are like a special breed of people that become these leaders are absolutely, absolutely depraved, disgusting. And that's why it's so horrible. It's so ironic that these are the people that have controlled things. You ever wonder why the world isn't such a good place? And not because of God. It's because of these people. And you know what you should do is you should speak your truth. Even if your voice shakes, my voice is shaking. I've never spoken of these things. My first time creating these videos. And I'd encourage you also to create videos about this. About these beings that are just controlling humanity. These, evil, abusive beings. I remember I had visited Paris. When I was a kid. You can see in many of the chapels, you see like these demonic creatures. These gargoyles. And these are the archons. I remember my father was so interested in them, taking pictures of the gargoyles. Oh, I want to go see the gargoyles. And I think that there is sort of a sick drawing to that. I mean, if you are working for a pharmaceutical company, then of course, you already are being influenced by these entities. In fact, you've almost sold your soul to these entities. This corporate entity that control the corporate world and all this. They do. They control all this stuff. And I think it's so kind of weird. It's like you don't feel you're of this world anymore. You're no longer asleep like Snow White or like Sleeping Beauty in Snow White. Right? They don't lie to you. She was asleep for a very long time and woke up. And in the book, they don't show it in the movie. She's being raped by these people many times. These dwarves raped her, in fact, in the book. So it's very dark. And these entities essentially are raping us. Our minds. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. It already is over for them when we die. They already lose their power. But even while we're on Earth, all these protests, and I think that's because of the problem. People don't realize it's actually evil entities that are controlling the world. They just sort of blame the government. But I think at least what we'll see is the government will be exposed as evil. And they will be brought down. And that's actually their greatest weapon. Is your acquiescence. Like you go into a store, everyone's wearing a mask, this whole global pandemic. Let me tell you, it's a big old scam. It's a big scam. It's a big scam. And you get people trying to tell you what you'll wear a mask. Hit the road, Jack. I'm not wearing that mask. And that's the problem that we're having in the world right now. Is people are afraid to speak their truth. You should speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. There's people that are protesting all over the world. Austria, Rotterdam, the other ones. Because they want to create a new COVID-19, a new passport mandate or vaccine passports and all this stuff. Well, Omicron, right? You rearrange the words, it means ironic. So the archons are laughing at you. They're laughing. And it is absolutely terrifying. You walk into a store, you see everyone wearing these masks. Like, what are they afraid of? What I'm afraid of is being controlled by these things. And I think people, that's also another way they get control. Is your fear. So they want to make everyone afraid of COVID-19. Oh, you got to breathe the mainstream narrative about COVID-19. Everyone has fears. Almost every time you have a fear, they're feeding on humans. They hate humans. They're jealous. And their greatest, the best way, if you could see them, right? If you see a fly, you swat it. They don't have any power over our minds. They're not us. They have no right to tell us how we can live our life. That thinks that is just an abomination. This is, in fact, a spiritual war going on in the world. This is not a joke at all. This is not a joke. You thought Lord of the Rings was just fantasy. It's not. Even J.R.R. Tolkien, when he was writing, he felt that a force was writing it through him. He gave very few interviews. And another interesting, there's no coincidence in this world. Let me tell you this, J.R.R. Tolkien, he met the guy who played Sauron. He met him when he was a young man. He met J.R.R. Tolkien. So that's pretty incredible. So if you go into a store, you see everyone wearing that mask. It's really, it just makes me angry. You should know that your anger, if you suppress your anger, that's in fact a form of repression. It's like what the Chinese did to the Tibetans. They're suppressing their, oh, don't be angry about the occupation. Look, don't wear a mask. Go in there, don't wear a mask. If nobody wore a mask, they'd have no power. If nobody did it, they'd have no power. That's what people fail to realize. You know, you don't have to think all positive thoughts all the time. That could be toxic. You know what? Think negatively. Think, this is not good. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to wear this mask for the rest of my life. I don't need to wear it. It's bullet. Do you see anyone dying? It's complete brainwashing, groupthink. It's control. And people think that this is what we're taught in school, that being controlled is good. It's moral. It's not. When the people we have in power and authority are, in fact, so corrupt. It's disgusting what they're doing. And this is the problem that we have in the world today. Is that people are afraid of speaking their truth. But there's protests all around the world. And many governments will collapse. The cabal will lose. And I think that's what you guys need to know. Is you need to know that you have the power. They don't have the power. If you see anyone treat you bad, it's they're being influenced by these entities. They want to stomp on the human spirit. They want to break the human spirit. They want to break it. And they won't break it. So I'll end it on that. So please subscribe. Please like this video. Right, my name is Gerald Flatman. That's my name, Gerald Flatman. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos about the government, about society, about spiritual things. I have so much more I have to talk about, so much more I want to discuss with you. Please subscribe, all right? Thank you. Bye.